Hi, welcome to Keys Consumer Math. This is section 6.6. I'm going to do a couple of examples for you so you can use them in your homework. I apologize if you're hearing that hissing sound, that loud sound. It's cold outside and the heater is on and the vents hiss. So I'm sorry if that's coming through. But anyway, I want to go ahead and do example 2 with you in your book on page 177. This will help you with problems 9 and 10 from your homework. Example 2 says, George Prim has not used his credit card wisely and has built up a balance of $15,300 on his card. Wow. His credit score is 638. What will 1 month's interest payment on George's card be in a month with 30 days? The first thing we need to do is determine what his interest rate is going to be on his credit card. And credit card companies will use your credit score to determine your interest rate. The lower your score, the higher your interest rate. Now, his credit score is 638, so it falls in this range right here. And if we look across all the way over here to the credit card line right here, we see that his his interest rate will be at 19.99% annual percentage rate. Because 19.99% is an annual percentage rate, and we want to know what the daily interest rate is going to be, we're going to take 19.99%, write it as a decimal, and divide it by 365 days, because there's 365 days in a year, and this is an annual percentage rate. And when we do that, we get 0.30, I think, and then 5477. So that is going to be his daily percentage rate of interest. What that means is he's going to pay 0.0005477, well actually it's 0.005477% a day on $15,300. So we need to figure out what that daily rate is. So we're going to take 15,300 and we're going to multiply it by 0.0005477. When we do that on our calculators, we get $8.38. So he has to pay $8.38 every day in interest on $15,300. So as the month goes along, he's paying $8.38 a day, and he does that in a month that has 30 days for 30 days. So we have to figure out how much interest he's going to pay that month. So we take $8.38 and we multiply it by 30, and we get $251.40. Now that's how much he owes each month he doesn't pay his balance on the $15,300, or he doesn't make the minimum payment. But so in addition to whatever minimum payment he has to make that month an extra $251.40. And if he only makes the minimum payment, then he's going to just basically keep accruing more and more interest, and he's going to have a very difficult time paying this off. That is why it is very important not to borrow more than you can afford to pay off. And if you pay off your cards every month, or you make your payments for everything on time, you're going to have a high credit rating, which will give you a lower interest rate. And for loans, for paying off credit cards, but your interest rate shouldn't matter for paying off your credit card, because you should be paying it off every month. This guy wasn't doing it. He ran up a huge debt, and now he owes more and more and more money. As I said before, you can use this example to solve numbers 9 and 10 for your homework. Now let's look at example 4 on page 178. It says, Shane Wessel would like to buy a home. His annual income is $55,000. He has the following obligations each month for a car payment of $420, a payment of $200 on a personal loan for furniture, and a credit card minimum payment of $72. If Shane's mortgage lender has told him that he has an approval for a 50% DTI, or debt to income ratio, what is the maximum monthly payment he can make on his mortgage? So first of all, we're going to be looking at his annual income of $55,000. Now, this is probably before taxes and everything, but we're not going to worry about that right now. We're just going to use this to determine how much he can borrow. We need to take this number and we need to divide it by the number of months in a year, which is 12. And when we do that, we get $4,583. So that's basically his monthly income. The mortgage, the lender tells him, not the mortgage, but the lender tells him that he can have, because he has a debt to income ratio of 50%, they're going to let him borrow total, not for the mortgage, but total it for all of his monthly payments for everything, 50% of whatever his monthly income is. So we're going to take this number and we're going to multiply it by 0.5 or 50%. And when we do that, we get $2,291.50. So that's how much his lender says that he is allowed to have in debt every month. But he's already in debt up here for $420, $200, and $72. So when we add those three numbers together, 420 plus 200 plus 72, we should get $692 worth of debt that he has to pay every single month. So we're going to take the $2291.50 and we're going to subtract $692 from it, and we're going to get a total of $1,599.50. So this is how much his lender will allow him to pay every month on a mortgage. That's the maximum amount. So he can only get a loan for a house that will, or he's only allowed to get a mortgage for a house that would allow him to pay no more than $1,599.50 a month for his home. This example should help you solve problem number 7 in your homework. Now, again, the whole debt to income ratio, that's part of the capacity or your ability to pay out for a loan. It's really a good idea to have a DTI, or debt to income ratio, of 0, meaning you don't owe anybody anything. It's not necessarily possible in this day and time, but if you can pay cash for as much as possible, that will lower your ratio. And the higher your ratio, the less money you have to pay out your normal bills and invest in other opportunities. It's a good idea to pay cash as much as you possibly can. Okay, that's all the examples I'm going to do for this. I didn't give you that much homework over it. Just do the problems you can. Come back and watch this video again if you're not quite sure what to do, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory, and your book explains these examples pretty well too. I'll see y'all on Tuesday.